I'm still finishing up my workout, but it's by design why I decided to start this while I was in the last 10 minutes of my workout. It's a good way to stay calm this morning. A lot of, you can say when you're in the limelight, you get a lot of hate. Some good, some bad, some fair, some foul. Just say it took a bit of a beating from some over the last 12 hours or so because the market is where it's at. However, had we just been watching the lives yesterday, we drew a line down. We know the upward target of $1.47. And we know if we break that, we have a CME gap that we could possibly tap. We also know that there is a possibility that we could have expanded out still on a fifth wave up. However, we don't have any certainty. We're still very much, as I've been talking about, inside of this. You can consider it a bullish consolidation unless it breaks down, even though we're in the midst of a bear market. I don't personally think this is where the bull market starts, but you really never know. But I'll say this one time, I'll repeat it, I'll continue to preface it, and we'll move on. When you're trading and you have your own portfolio, you are the master of your own domain. To blame somebody else for a misstep, for a missed action, or for something in the future that might cost you is irresponsible. If you go down that road, you're going to fail, especially in a risk asset. So the number one objective, control your domain. Be in charge of your own portfolio. If you want to invest, make a trade, do what you got to do. If you want to sell, run away, it's your prerogative. But you have to dynamically understand where the proper positioning is. So we'll go over this today. I'll do it as straightforward as I can. I made a conscious effort a couple days ago to change a part of my demeanor, and no one's going to ruin that. Not even the skeptics or haters. In fact, they're going to fuel the further passion. If you don't like me working out, that's fantastic. I think we all should start the morning in the right way. So, with that being said, we're going to get into this. We're going to look for invalidation zones. We're going to look for validation for pull downs. And then we're going to see if we get any kind of push up to see if we can target a CME gap. Like we said yesterday, $1.47 is that downward resistance. If we don't bounce below that $1.33 and hold yesterday, was in the title. We need the bulls to step in immediately. They've stepped in immediately so far. Or the trading algorithm turned off the sells. Whether by design, whether because we're significantly oversold in some time frames, which is now reversing back up, whether it's because we're at historic lows in the crypto fear and greed index, you can make the decision. And honestly, I encourage you to make that decision. I don't have my comments on right now. You can comment. I can't see them. I'm not going to turn them on for about 20, 25, 30 minutes because I don't want to be suckered into something I don't want to be in. And I want to do this in a proper way. Good morning. 9:32 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Wednesday, February 25th, 2026. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So if you're watching this morning, see what happens here this morning. Monday morning, 9:30 a.m. becomes the most volatile natured time. I put in the title to watch XDC like a hawk, and there's a reason why. We're bouncing outside of an expanding, it's the downward, expandable, broadening, what I would consider almost a channel, even though you could consider it a broadening wedge, where we still have not created the C wave, in my opinion. We have an elongated B wave, and the technical target for me would put us up still at 4.4 cents approximately. Did you miss XRP's move this morning? Maybe. Are you crying about it? Possibly. I know some are because they're complaining to me in some very rude ways, might I add you. I don't get paid enough for that, let's be honest. I don't have enough support to be, thrown through the land basting, especially when I put this out for free every single day. If you want to stay ahead, watch. But if you just want to complain, piss and moan, you're probably in the wrong place. Not watching me, but being in a risk asset, you're going to get eaten alive. If you couldn't handle that reversal yesterday, you are going to get eaten alive. Opportunity comes to those who await, and opportunity comes to those who aren't scared. But most importantly, opportunity comes to one who's in control of their own domain. Remember that. So what I try to do every single day is get you to the point where you, in fact, can be in charge of your own domain. What's the reality here? Well, the reality is simple to me. Reality is very simple here with XDC. And a very nice spot here to push up for that rejection zone. What does that mean for you? Does it mean you buy right now? Well, I don't know. What did I do? I can't tell you. Not yet. I think you can make an educated understanding of what I did with XDC. Did I buy 17 things? No. Why? Because I don't believe this is the overall corrective phase back up. But what I do know in my time in trading is expect the unexpected. Expect the unexpected. Right now, expecting the unexpected, I see a lot of pissing and moaning instead of a lot of, let's just say, what's the best way to put this? Instead of a lot of opportunity seekers. I see a lot of blame game. I see a lot of people who think cryptocurrency owe them something, which is not the case. In the 4 hourly, I see a potential breakout here. Now, what could invalidate this? Falling below this low, which is right around 3.32. So what does that put you for a downside potential? Let's just say you entered. What's the risk here? And this would be if you took out a short, obviously. I'm not telling you to do that. But basically, the movement is all of 2.929%. So basically a 3% risk for a possibility. Let's get rid of this. And we're not saying to take a leverage. I'm saying the possibility you're risking 2.92%. Just hear me out. It's up to you. You don't have to listen. I'm not begging. I encourage the core members to pay attention, but I'm not going to beg. I'm not going to plead. I'm not going to discourage or encourage. I'm going to do what I always do. I'm going to try to be real as I can, and we're going to try to do this education. So you're risking 3% for a possibility. So you're risking 2.8% or 2.9% for a possible 32% return. In my estimations, that's about a 15 to 1, 14 to 1 shot. Right now, the risk reward, if we want to put it like this, let's take a look. The risk reward is about a 10.836 to 1 on XDC. Does that mean you buy? I can't tell you that. I can tell you what the risk reward is. Does it mean you buy out of fear? No, absolutely not. But when you have a risk reward like that, is there opportunity? That's up for you to decide. I found it an opportunity, so that's my own prerogative, my portfolio. If you see it differently, you see that's the beauty of it. It's your portfolio versus mine. So would I buy it right here? Would I wait for validation? It depends your outlook. And actually, it's different because this isn't far enough down. I think I did this too high. This needs to be from down here because that would be your overall downward risk because you would sell it. But the problem is it might be a little bit lower because we might have to look at it down here in case it boom, back test this area. But in all honesty, with what the market's doing, would it back test all the way down to here? It's a hell of a question. Hell of a question, because when you get these pushes up to resistance, in theory, you're not going to see a whole lot of weird movement. So it's actually about an 11.2 to 1 risk. So you're basically risking about 3% for the possibility of making 34% if we're looking at it. And no, this is not leverage. I won't speak leverage. If you want to trade leverage, that's your prerogative. Again, with the sensitivity of most traders, I would be a fool to speak leverage when I get humiliated on a daily basis by most, which I can take. That's my job, even though I don't get paid very well for my job. But that's what I signed up for. And I'll take the beating so others don't have to in their portfolio. So that's the reward risk here. Do I think the C wave is going to happen for XDC? I never thought it wasn't unless we broke this expandable wedge. And right now we back tested it almost perfectly. Now, is it a risk? Is there a lot of chaotic things that can? Absolutely. Welcome to cryptocurrency, friends. Our first step is to hold the 4-hourly. Those minor levels in the short term are just, they're minor levels. Are we going to get some volatility this morning? Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Bitcoin's up 3.5%. Ethereum's up 6.1%. Algo's up 6.5%, and we've got a lot of things bouncing. Coming back within what could have been bearish breaks down, and now we're seeing something different. So you have to evolve here. Now it looks like a descending possible. This wedge is forming deeper. So do we break out of here? It's possible, but the 4-hourly is getting exhausted. So do we bounce around here for a little while? It is extremely possible you might see it back down here. However, inverse pattern is set up, but it's an elongated. We are so close to that lower 7.2 target that are we now splitting hairs when we get down to 8.2? Because isn't that technically within 20% of that local bottom? In theory, it was. Still is. Would I encourage you to buy it in the 4-hour when it looks like that? Hell no. Could it break out to the 200? More than likely. But would I encourage it? Probably not. What I would look at is something like XDC, like I've said. Still in that breakout positioning. Still looks like it needs that volatile candle. We could have a little bit of shake and bake here in the smaller time frames. Absolutely. But there is a very big risk to reward factor here right now. And I want to redo this because I don't think that's not, because the way it's set up, it had the appropriate level, but it didn't have the appropriate risk to reward. And this is something I'm going to start doing more. Because then everybody can see it plain as day, black and white. And then they don't have to shoot the messenger. You can blame who's meant to be blamed. He or she who is in control of their own domain, which is your chart, which is your portfolio. So the drawdown, if we look at it like this, is about 4.2% risk. And you're looking for almost, it's about 30%, if we're being honest. It's like 30% to the top, 28 to 30. So your risk reward, if we're looking at it in that way, it says 6.61. I think it's a little bit higher, but if we look at it in the possibility that we could come down a little bit like this instead of hitting this local bottom, well, then you give yourself about 1% more just in case. So that's what you're looking at right now. That's what you have to risk to try to make that reward. So you have to risk roughly 3 to 4% in a spot trade to try to make almost 30%. Now, does that meet what you want? Are you a short-term trader, long-term trader? Do you look for opportunity outside of leverage? I like to look for opportunity outside of leverage, but when I do that, I don't want to buy 17 different things. Got to have a focus. It doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean no. But I have a plan. And as long as I'm going by my plan, even if it fails, I have an exit strategy. Very clean one at that. So I believe we're about to get a movement here with XDC. Can't help it. Won't try to hide it. Didn't try to ignore it with myself. So I'm going to see what happens here. And if it ends up going down, so be it. There's only so much you can control. Minor profits this morning so far with XDC. Nothing crazy. In fact, it's probably the lowest achieving one on the board right now, which makes it a unique spot right now because in the past, XDC's been outrunning the market. So at least now it's behind. And I think it, for the lack of a better word, is giving somewhat of an opportunity. Now, will it pan out? I don't know. I can only tell you what I'm doing. Okay? So, whether you want to go along with it, again, the only thing I know how to do is be honest. So, anything other than that, I don't know how to do it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for everybody. You want to be in control, be in control. And this is the best way I know how to do it. So direct. So, you missed an opportunity, but there's another opportunity calling and knocking, and I couldn't put it any more clear on that board. So, in a couple minutes, I'll look at the comments, and I'll see what everybody has to say. I'm being very direct in a different way this morning for a reason. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. So, now we go more emotionless. Let me do this from a strategic standpoint. or you're not going to be able to read me as good. If you want to know deeper, if you want to understand your flaws, your strengths, your weaknesses, join the class. Nobody's joining outside of the people who initially joined. I've actually had 3 outsiders outside of the community join since I started the classes who have no affiliation with my YouTube. But not a single person in my YouTube audience is taking advantage of it outside of the initial people who signed up. So look yourself in the mirror. Plenty of opportunity being given. You have to take control. You can get on your knees and beg me to give you the answers. I'm not going to. I'm going to show you how to come to them. I'm going to give you them in real time what can happen. But it's up to you to have the proper education, knowledge, whether or not you want to learn from my Zoom classes. So much more than just meets the eye with the charts. Hell, you could have been efficient and a professional now with the CME gaps. Understanding what we could be targeting at $1.70, but understanding what has to happen to get there. So, with that being said, I would encourage you, put your frustrations, put your positivity or negativity in the comments. I will decipher through them. I will do this as a generality today, not anymore tomorrow, but today. I want to welcome in the members of Tom's Army, as I don't know if we have 5 people or 100 people, and I don't really care today. I only care that this message hits the right person. If that's not you, you're not the right person. And it's fine. I appreciate you coming in. And if you decide to leave and come back later or never come back again, it was nice to see you. I really don't want the door to hit you on the way out. I'd like you to walk out and say, you know what, I don't agree with that guy, but at least he's giving me a passion. He's giving me an ideal. He's willing to put it on paper, his beliefs, right or wrong, and nobody else's belief. I admire the fact that this guy at least puts out what he thinks and doesn't care what everybody else says. Doesn't put his opinion out there and regurgitate 750 other influencers and slightly change it to make it his own. This is 100% verbatim my own thinking. And for that, I'm blessed. Last night, I started my new chapter in learning, and nothing's going to faze me anymore because I've become stronger with the Bible again. Last night, I started on page 18 where I left off on the Ethiopic Bible, in my opinion, the most efficient one, before the King James Version. It has about, 80-something stories. I'm in the book of Enoch right now, which is awesome. You learn a lot, not just about what happened in the past, but about ourselves. So every single night for about an hour before I go to bed, that's what I'm going to be doing. So when I wake up in the morning, I'll have a more spiritual movement. I told myself today, you're not getting loud. You're going to be very direct. There's no reason to take the slander you take, but you got to take it like a man. We're not playing the blame game. You're not a victim, because I'm not a victim. So now we have to do this with a sign of strength. And the only way I know how is to show a sign of strength. So I'm going to try to teach you the best I can. I look forward to seeing everybody in class who will be there. But that's the last I'm going to talk about the class. It's in the pinned comments below. If my direction that I show you every single day isn't strong enough, I show you the charts for a reason. I show you what we have to invalidate, and I'll show you both ways. Talked about the CME gap, talked about $1.47 yesterday, talked about this push up yesterday, while still talking about what happens if we lose $1.33 down to $1.26. But certain metrics have to be met. And right now we're in this little upward tug. Could it turn into something bigger? You better damn well believe it. But I can't call it a bull market reversal or a bullish reversal till we get above 202. So anything here would just be another correction to a further downside. Can that mindset be changed? You better believe it. And that's why you always have to be on the ball. And don't wait for somebody else to grab your nuts and put... Oh, I'm sorry. Don't have somebody... Hold on. I knew this was going to happen, which is why I'm working out. Remember, new mindset. Don't let somebody stop you from what you think you're seeing. Not even me. Because I've never told you to buy nor sell in these areas, but I've told you to pay very close attention because we're still in an inverse pattern. We have an over-the-top gap, which could have been a breakaway gap, breakaway CME, but you'd have to be in the class to know what that means. I simply don't have the time, nor am I paid enough here to give all that information out right now because it would simply take too long. So I stay with generalities in a lot of things, so except when we go deeper into the charts, I'm going to give you everything I know on the actual chart, which that should tell you in the class that's not what it's about. It'll be about that in about 6 months, but everything you're going to learn before, as we finish our 3rd week of classes, class 8 today, after class, we're going into the FVG. And that's something we won't even talk about for months, but I'm going to strategically, every Wednesday after class, if you stick around for 20 minutes, we're going to talk about one hot topic a week. Next week, it's going to be CME versus FVG, since last Wednesday we did the CME gaps. What they mean, how they look, what they represent, the differences in each of them. So there is such an opportunity to learn, you just got to grab it. Okay. One more set, and then I'm going to sit down. Let me turn on my other tablet. I had to do this in a unified way this morning. I can't be distracted. And since I got so many hateful emails, this is the best way I know how. And I don't need anybody to come to my defense in the comments. I'm not looking for a pity party at all. Believe me. Nor do I care to have one, to be honest with you. I don't need somebody to tickle my nuts while others are kicking me in them. I can do this myself. It's okay. I'm strong enough. I'm dedicated enough not to let it bother me. In fact, I use it as a growing opportunity. A lot of you could learn from that. So that's what we're looking at this morning. I hope that makes sense. I would encourage more people to join Tom's Army. At the very least, for $9.99 a month, you pay it forward. You can get in the Telegram. If you want to level it up a little bit, you take the live classes, or you get the ability to the archive, which after today I'll have 8 classes with about 13 hours of learning already. That's an indefinite database, so it's up to you what you want to do going forward. You can either be in charge or you cannot. So, all I can do is try to be a guiding stone. But with all guiding stones, we meet judgment day every single day in a sense, especially when you deal with finances. And that's exactly what I signed up for and why I signed up for it. And some people might think that it's just random people that, like to size me up and then, brutalize. And it's kind of opposite. It's the ones you would call family that like to do that. I know Define got an unrude awakening to just that a couple weeks ago with somebody who I've helped tremendously when they decided to play that game. But again, you can't play the victim. And sometimes I feel like maybe I do play the victim. Oh, poor Tom. No, we gotta laser focus. So here we go. See who's in here. Decent amount of people in here this morning. Excellent. Excellent. I see Bearded Viking. Welcome back into Tom's Army for your 2nd month with the Dusty, or 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. Let's make sure, I want to say a prayer real quick for Mighty Marcus. We pray to our Lord and Savior, Yahweh, Yeshua, Emmanuel, Jesus Christ, for the continued positive mindset for not only Mighty Marcus, but for Bearded Viking as he continues to take on additional roles so he can support his son in this epic fight as he continues to fight the good fight, and we look for guidance for the positive mindset. I don't shy away from my religion. I don't encourage you or discourage you. I just share my beliefs. So I pray to our Lord and Savior that at least we can have a positive outcome, or at least with the least amount of pain possible. Amen. So we have a nice inverse pattern that is still not broken down. It's elongated. We would have to get above $1.47, then we could start hunting that CME over the top. That goes, it starts at $1.70, but it overall will push into $1.77. So, and yeah, there's a lot of tokens that are making movements. I'm going to stay defined to what I do unless, like I said before, I'm not going to burn myself out just to get beaten up after. In fact, the more tokens I talk about, the more of a chance there is that people are going to come back unfairly. So I'm focusing on what I focus on. If that doesn't align with what you do, you can still take out of what we do every single day and put it towards your particular asset. Now, if if you want a little bit extra, you can always send a super chat during the live and be like, "Hey, I need help with this," and I will look at it. But that's just something I have to have in place. David, good morning. XRP, John Hall, Anthony Venegas, Jordan Junkie, Sola Jeffy, welcome in. Arichi Farms, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Crypto Adoption, good morning. William Hayes, thanks for being in Tom's Army 6+ months with the XP Predictor, along with Mrs. Stott and Mr. Stott. Matthew, good morning. The Gatman, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XRP. Oh, I think some people are surprised too that I actually have feelings. So imagine that. Thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 years with the XRP Diamond Hands badge, the Gatman. Juan, good morning, along with Vado Damas. Thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge, to both of you. Mo, good morning, my good friend, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XRP 589 Moon badge. XRP Defender, Bold FC, Hood Class, Simply Better, Low 3, Trial by Fire. Thank you all so much for being in here this morning. Awesome. It's great. I love seeing everybody in here. Mr. Stott, yeah, I'd say you're learning something. Now, understand that it's not a guarantee with XDC, but that was a potential buy signal for at least a short relief rally. And right now, it's doing exactly what I would like to see. Yeah, it's only up 0.6% or 5% since we started talking about it this morning. But it's definitely something that I think is an opportunity, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's just, I don't know if the opportunity will play out. See, not all opportunities come to fruition. That's why we have to be efficient in what we do for the breakdowns, just in case it doesn't play out like it looks. Because then at least you have the fail-safe of knowing if it breaks that support, you have to make a tough decision. But right now, I really like where XDC's at. I really like my decision, and I really like what I see in XDC. It's my #1 go-to in the bull market next season. And every time I think there's an opportunity, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to try to take advantage of it. I didn't buy 7 different tokens. I bought 1. Did I buy an enormous amount of it? You better believe it. Because I don't want to leverage trade. Could I have put $1,000 and leveraged up 30x? Sure. Could I have put 2,000 and levered up 15? Absolutely. Could I have put 3 and leveled up by 10x? Sure, to get the same outcome. I think I don't like the leverage. The same reason why in the Michigan game yesterday, I just watched it. My gut was telling me, hey, make a bet, make a bet, make a bet. You know what? I shut it off. Because I realized when you gamble on one aspect of life, you gamble on all of them. Now, that doesn't mean an efficient trader like MQ and others can't make bank, or I couldn't make bank leveraging. But that just means the overall attention of most, they don't have the ability. Even my emotions get out of whack. Even when I make a good trade out of leverage, guess what happens? I start to demand more out of my spot positions, and that's not okay. So it's almost like an either or, and MQ does it the right way. He does it the right way. He waits for that overall downtrend to finish, but in the meantime, he tries to capitalize on the short movements. Maybe sometimes a little long leverage as well, but he's taken an approach where when it hits these major resistance, I'm either going to add or I'm going to wait for the eventual pull down into that bear market. But what he's not doing is missing out on profit. No matter how you make profit is wrong. Nobody ever said you're going to go broke making gains, even if it's 1, 2, 5% at a time. How you go broke is when you start losing, when you start overreaching. Am I personally okay if I lose 4% here? Absolutely. Am I encouraged that it's up like 3.7% from that little support? Yeah, I am actually. But it's not what I wanted. I'm certainly not going to sell it for the 3%. What I personally would like to see is an overtaking of the bull market and surprise us. That's why I like to buy at these structures. Again, Did I make the best trade? Absolutely not right now. Anything else I would have bought is doubled what I could have made right now in XDC. Does that mean I'm going to sell XDC and jump into something that's up more? Absolutely not. That's a very fallible way to lose all your money. Am I encouraged to see other things going up? Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Do I feel a lot better in the morning when I see XRP up 6%? Oh, yeah. Do you know how much it sucks to come in here every single day and be like, we're going down? Don't do it, Tom. I don't know what you're referring to. I'm not sure what I did. So here, let's, I got to thank a couple people because honestly, Bearded Viking joined Tom's Army again for 3+ months. That is the biggest honor I could possibly receive. I wish there was more I could do for you, Bearded Viking. I really do. I wish somehow I could get you into those live classes. I'll be honest with you, Bearded Viking, and I don't know, because you might consider it charity. But if you want to upgrade, and I'm just throwing this out here, and I'm not doing this for everybody, but I'll do it for a few that I'm proud and blessed to be around. If you join the class for $49.99, I will reimburse you every single month if you give me away. Whether you want me to send you XRP, I'll buy it and send you it every single month. Whether you want me to send it through PayPal, Venmo, I'll do it. I really want you in there. So don't think of it as a charity. Think of it as an opportunity. I will send you it every single month risk-free. Every single month on renewal, I will send you that $50 back. Hood class, welcome in. Low 3, I've already said good morning, but good morning again. Creamy goodness, welcome in. If crypto gets overbought in NVIDIA earnings, I'm buying a put on NVIDIA as a hedge a few weeks out now. Exactly, that's a great, yes. Yes, I love that so much. I was looking at NVIDIA this morning, and that absolutely, that's an excellent, that is, God, I love that comment. Thank you for saying that. Creamy goodness. Dan Marginal, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Arm for 6+ months with the XRP Predictor. Found myself a little impatient yesterday, but I'm good, still sitting on my hands. Bearded Viking, I'm glad you at least put that in the forefront, and you can acknowledge. That's why a lot of times if we can come to a center of balance, we can start to push. And remember, we don't know who God puts in our lives. Bearded Viking, you don't even know why I'm in your life, Bearded Viking. As for, I don't even know why you're in mine. But I do know I feel a calling to you and your son. Maybe things most don't as well. And his medical issues. So I feel a calling to you. It's in my heart. I really do. Long snacks. Well, holy crap. Upgraded to live classes. Wow, really? Oh, I almost want to cry seeing that. Thank you so much for believing in what I do. Long snacks. Thank you so much for upgrading and being in Tom's Army for over 1 year at the I Told You So badge and leveling up your future. Go into the YouTube, my friend. You immediately now have access. Don't wait until the live class to start doing this. And if you got to circumvent the live this morning, that is totally understandable for your financial future. 7 classes, database stored, all taught through Zoom. So you're not going to recognize what I do. Okay. Nobody who takes these classes is going to recognize my demeanor. They're not going to recognize my approach. It's not like YouTube. I've got 3 people in there right now that are not even part of our YouTube family or my social media groups. They happened to see me post it on Facebook as it got sent into their algorithm, and they decided to take a shot. And I'm blessed. That tells me everything I need to know about what we're doing. So thank you so much for betting on me, Long Snacks. I appreciate that, and yourself, more importantly. Carl, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Arm for over 1 year at the I Told You So badge. 1970 legend, welcome in, my fellow Buckeye. Big game for Ohio State coming up here. You need a quad 1 win in basketball, and I believe you'll make the tournament. So if you can beat, who are you playing here? Is it Illinois? Illinois, Indiana. I can't remember who it is, but yeah. But welcome in, and I really appreciate you sending gifted subs this morning. 5 gifted subs from the fellow Buckeye. How awesome is that? How awesome is that? And then Tom's Army for over 1 year, very trusted mod. And J-Rod back in Tom's Army, a perfect person to give that first gifted membership to. Second month with the Dusty's Out House Crypto News. Meat Eater's back in for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. Tony, yours truly, Girk, and Navy Nuke for Christ. Welcome into Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens via the gifted subs from 1970 Legends. And, yeah, the 5 of you, congratulations. Israel, thanks for being in Tom's Army for your second month of Dusty House Crypto News. Only XDC. Only XDC. I don't know if it's going to pan out, but I've been waiting for this C wave to play out, and the farther it got elongated, I made an educated and informed decision with myself. If it held this area, I was going to ride it and try to ride it up into the C. Does it pan out? I don't really know. So far, so good, but I don't have any idea of knowing if this is going to pan out. But I do know a fail-safe for myself. This isn't for everybody, but I would look at cutting bait if it shows me a reason why, if it broke below those levels. So I don't have a 4% risk here. I'll just be honest. I got about a 0.7% risk, if that. It'll end up turning into about a 1.5 to 2% by the time I would pull the trigger to sell. But my risk comes from just because it didn't immediately pull out. It did at some point this morning, but I'm not going to act like I bought right on the line because I didn't. We'll just go from about there. So about, like I said this morning, 2.8% if I let this ride fully. Edgar, good morning. Don't buy XDC right now. You got it. That's your own personal opinion. And now for the long term, you are probably absolutely correct. But I'm looking for opportunity. Whether or not it pans out or not, I don't know. But I see XDC a little bit different. It's one of the ones that are in my heart. That's the one I love. So when I see an opportunity calling, that doesn't mean it's going to pay. I could be down 3% today when I sell. I don't know. But I'm okay. I'm willing to take that chance. Let's see. Define says, and Define, thanks for being a very trusted mod, so important in this community, and just an overall beacon of light for us. Define says, XRP, XTXM, H-bar, algo, possibly ADA, that other way. The XR, or the XXX HA plus V strategy, I love it. I love it. With the added A, in fact. I love that so much. The ADA vet are the way. If there is something you would like Tom to focus on deeper, show Tom some love. That's fair. Thank you, Defined. You said it better than I ever could. XRP Defender, I appreciate seeing you in here again. I've seen you in here a few times now. I love it. I love it. Let's see. Bearded Viking says, I'm working on getting in there. I promise you're... Hey, it's not being generous. It's just helping my fellow human out if you take the opportunity, my friend. And I would never hold it against you if you don't find it appropriate. Just all I can do is offer it. Let's see. Canvas Podcast, welcome in and thanks for being in town for 6+ months with the XRP Predictor. Says the live, I am trying to join the classes next. What did I miss by it? Did I miss a comment from you higher up? I don't think so. Let's see. I don't know if I did or not. It's Duke's year. Yeah, I know. I seen that with the officiating on Saturday night. Call it for what it is, but there's always going to be that Duke bias. I don't think they're winning at all. But if the refs call it like that, it's going to be hard for Michigan in the they put us in serious foul trouble to start the game. Our big man had 3 fouls in like 7 minutes. Pretty embarrassing. Had to sit out like the last 15 minutes. It changed the complexion of the game, but we played awful. Yesterday though, we claimed the Big Ten championship. If we get 1 win in our last 3, we are the outright Big Ten champions. So it's been since I think 2018 since we won that. Outright. Logical Patriot joins the classes. Wow. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. I look forward to seeing you in there, and I know I showed you a direction to get into there. Aaron, share some scripture. Pay Psalm 107:1. Chapter 1. We're deep here now. Verse 10. Give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. Amen. So true. So true. Yeah, the volume isn't what we want. That's why when we talk about these push-ups, they often end up being volumeless push-ups that in the end just end up being some liquidity for the downside push. And that's what we've talked about every single day. Like, these push-ups aren't going to be because of volume. I can promise you that. At least at this point. We've come back up into that liquidity zone. But we've also come back into that symmetrical triangle that we started to break down in the shorter scale. So just at least acknowledge the fact that we had a symmetrical triangle that we were breaking down, and now we're back within, back above the short-term uptrend, which keeps validation here. And we have the ability to invalidate what could be an elongated shoulder and turn it into some kind of rally. But again, we have to get past this bearish liquidity zone, because that can be a bearish sweep if we got rejected. Remember, before the drop, we put this box down, and as long as we filled and held, we could reverse back up. And at worst, you'd be looking at the reverse rally likely back up to that $1.47. And you know, at least we fell and we were able to hold. So we're getting a lot of confluency here with the charts. They're not lying to us. You know, it's just a matter of interpretation at this point. Let's see. Jay Mix, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Arm for 3+ months with the your second month with Dusty Dollars Crypto News. I just said I just joined, but I meant the live, not the classes. Oh, gotcha. I see what you're saying. Thank you for the clarification. And Bear Yoga, upgrades to the live classes. Holy smokes, this live must have hit the ball today. 2 people in the same class, or the same live joining the live classes. That's incredible. Thank you for not only being in Tom's Army for over a year with the I Told You So badge, but leveling up into the classes. Make sure that you look in the membership area for the live classes and you get the database. That's going to be an ever-growing database. That's going to become more valuable as we go. I love seeing a couple new people for the classes. It makes me really happy. I know we keep commenting the same past couple lives. I love seeing you guys in tune. I love seeing my family in here as well. Well, the newfound family. And the members of families tune in here together. You're welcome, Logical. I appreciate that so much. I appreciate that. Edgar Harvey, thank you so much for being in here as always and giving your input. Whether we're right or wrong, I appreciate the input greatly. Because the more collectiveness we get here, the better off we're going to be in the future. Oh no, Cannabis Podcast. That is totally fair. That is totally fair. I'm glad that you broke it down for me so that I knew what you were talking about. Mark Caston, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year at the I Told You So badge. Bull Trap, unless we see something that breaks that CME and ultimately $2.03, the bull trap is in effect. And we're taking the stairs down. But sometimes in a stare down, you have to have a 7, 10, 15, 20% reversal. It's almost, you know, it's written in stone, basically. What goes up must come down, and what goes down must retrace and come back up. And then you figure it out. That's how the stairs are formed, remember? Down, up, dramatic down, back up. And then when you take the elevator up, you get little stops along the way, but you stop at floors, right? But you don't see the steps. So that's what's cool about this. Really cool about this. Lowe says, some of the mystics believe March 3rd rapture, but I want to see inverse head and shoulder. Yeah, there's a lot of talk about March 3rd. It's funny, I went back and started watching a show, and I've been watching it. Haven't watched it since for a couple of years, but it's called Colony. I don't know if anybody's watched it. Really puts things in perspective of what could happen going forward. Maybe not in the same way, but the further you involve yourself in the Bible and just other parts of it, get into the book of Enoch and things like that, you're going to really realize how we became workers. And this is a worker colony. It's pretty scary if you actually think about it. Every single day we get up, we have the illusion of going to work. The more money we make, the more currency, the easier our life seems. The stress has become dependent on where your mindset is. But there is a lot of things going on outside. I know some of you want to get into some deeper topics. I seen Define's comment in the Telegram, to me, personal. Talked about the stuff with Terra Luna and Jane Street. And I do want to cover it. I just don't know, as of right now, what the actual truth is with all of that. So it's hard for me to go deep into it right now before I become an expert. But it's definitely something we do need to pay attention to. Mr. Stott, the best way I can describe that, in 2 Wednesdays from now, well, it depends. Maybe I'll do it different next Wednesday, and it won't be a FVG versus CME, and I can do that in 2 weeks. I can show you the trading algorithms and a little bit of a breakdown in the live class after, if you want to stay after. And we can talk about next Wednesday how price movement can happen because we have trading bots that control the algorithm. And what most people don't realize is the big people that buy, most of the time they're not making the trade. They just have money in an account, or they have a contract, so to say, and they're automatically purchased. That's why, Mr. Stott, if you notice the last few weeks I've been talking about, if this push-up happens, I don't expect volume. I expect a volumeless push-up. That simply means they just halted the sells. Just like the last couple of days, they halted the buys to let it drag down to that lower $1.31 level, $1.30 level. They swept that lower liquidity box. Am I wearing a hat today? No, because you know what? I don't need to. I think that fosters a false illusion as well. He doesn't have his hat on, it must be bearish. He has his hat on, it must be bullish. Sure, it seems to resonate that way because I'm good at timing the market, so I can foster that illusion. But it's a little bit deeper than that. I think we have to have a more connectiveness when it comes to that. To be honest, I'm very happy with where we're at this morning. Surviving that 9:30 liquidity zone. Now we have to get past 11:30, obviously, because we're in the depths of hell right now from 10 to 11. It's just what it is. But if we survive this movement, we're going to be okay. Yeah, silver's made a hell of a move. Platinum's made a great move. I don't know what's going on with the miners this morning. PLG was up 5.5%, 6% in pre-market. Unless this is the natural retracement now in the morning, and now it's going to continue on. That was a heck of a pullback from the people sold out this morning. It was pretty interesting because pre-market was getting up there, you know, pushing mid 270s. So I'm not sure what happened to scare people out this morning. I'm not sure they should have been yet, but it's never a bad idea when you wake up to 5 to 6% and you're not unsure to take the profit. You're never going to go broke taking profit. As far as gold, we've got to have it proved to us that it's not forming some kind of rising wedge in a right arm. Right? So right now it looks fine. We still have a little bit of momentum. We cleared out a lot. Silver, again, up over $90. We've talked about that, $93.17 until we're blue in the face. It's actually a tiny bit higher than that, but it is what it is. Just about, well, you know what I should do? I should extend the range so that you can see what could happen. Why even make you guess? I'm not about making you guess. I want to actually show you. I also feel empowered this morning. I'm not exactly sure how to explain it. Like, I let go of all the anxiety of what people think. I don't only care what people need to know now. So basically, we got that little zone. We could come up there and be still bearish if we get rejected. However, if we get over the top, now all of a sudden we're talking about what is a wider, what could have been a bearish consolidation. We could invalidate, but however, in order to get over that right arm, we're going to have to get over that right arm. Scary spot to be? Depends how you look at it. You know? I would never sell your precious metals. I'm not selling a single ounce of my precious metals. My physical bullion, I never will. That goes on to the next generation. We got many things to risk, so we can try to advance our wealth, but there's certain things that I don't mess with. And if you speak from it as a generational thing, so high volume and low volume pushes are throttled by sells. Yes or no? Yes and no, Mr. Stott. Not a bad way to look at it, but remember, sometimes when you have extreme volume coming in both directions, there's no reason to throttle it down. It's only when you have the occurrence, when there's a lot more bears out and they need a bullish movement, or there's a lot more bulls out and they need a bearish movement when they throttle it. Think about it like the halting in the stock market without being able to technically halt it yet until the Clarity Act. For legality reasons, they can't do that in the stock or in crypto because it's technically unregulated still, with added regulations every day, but they don't have the authority right now to just halt the entire market. Now, once they do, they won't have to throttle the buy and sell so much with the bots. They'll just halt it in either direction. So today, for example, XRP, let's just say it was up 30%. Oh, it's moving too fast. We're going to halt it. But what we're not going to tell you about the halt is that we're just turning off people from being able to buy. But if you want to sell out and take that's your prerogative, and we're not going to stop you because it's your money, they'll say. But what it does is it hurts anybody in leverage, and it hurts anybody who just bought in, or it hurts anybody who was expecting an even bigger rally. And you see that quite often. Remember PayPal a couple days ago had a big burst out of I was down like 4 to 7%, and then all of a sudden it was up 10, 12, and they halted it from the bottom because they said it moved too fast to the top side. Imagine being an investor making a good investment for a swing, if only a swing, and they say it's moving too fast and you're making too much money too fast. Yeah, I don't mind $1.48 if you're looking at that range. I just look at the chart. I've got two different things that it's telling me. One tells me it can come up to $1.51 roughly, but I can't acknowledge that until we get past the first resistance, which is at about $1.47 in real time. Actually, in real time, if we did it on this candle, it would be like, we'll say $1. Oh yeah, almost $1.48 in real time. But so $1.48 to $1.51 could be a rejection zone. But to get to the $1.56, what's another drop we would invalidate, at least in the short term, right? There's one thing we would invalidate short term, not long term, short term. And again, we're still stuck in this liquidity box. I called it the liquidity box of hell, and if we hold, we're inherently bullish in the short term. If we don't break that box, because we still have back testing areas. Does that mean we go much higher? No. Just means the drawdown. If you bought it at the bottom of the drawdown, you had an opportunity. That's why I put it like that before we had the drawdown. Make sense? Everybody's got the opportunity. Sometimes you just need a little guidance. They're pushing my bots into a trade now. It must be the top. Interesting. Very interesting, Lo. Let me know how that works out, because we'll see here this morning. We're in that 1 hour zone, hour and a half zone, where we're going to find out a lot here. Now, out of curiosity, what did your bot buy? Because for Ethereum, we had a breakout target, if you guys remember. If we broke out to the top side, we'd be retesting this area at the 200-day. Would be right around 2,230. And then if we would have broke down, it was 480 out of this extended, which we haven't even formed all the way yet. So that can't even happen until we finish forming. Now, what I can tell you is, if it breaks out of this, we might just be building a wider pennant. We don't know. But guys, when opportunities are knocking, are you always going to be afraid of a potential misstep? Because 9 times out of 10, if you follow the same strategy, you're going to succeed. Even if you fail 6 out of 10 times, because the overwhelming profit's going to outweigh the result of a loss. So now that we see the reversal, we don't have to guess to the bottom side now. That's all off the table. That's been invalidated for now. So now we can take one avenue away. Now we look to see, are we going up past 2012, and are we coming up to the higher liquidity box for a bigger pennant? Does that mean we break bullish just because it comes up there? Absolutely not. Does it change anything about? No, it really doesn't, unless we can break that zone and start to make some kind of defined push up and have an inverse pattern. That's why I keep saying day after day after day. You don't know when the bear cycle ends, and you don't know when the bull cycle stops. All you can try to do is navigate it the best you can through the algorithm. And the algorithm said buy if it held that support, but not technically a long-term macro buy. But if you're trying to swing it a little bit, which when you're in bear markets, sometimes the only opportunity you have is to do that swing. It's the truth. I don't like it as much as you guys like it. I don't like the swing trade. I'll be honest. I hate swing trading. But I like opportunity. So here's another thing going back to gambling. If I would have had money on the Michigan game, wouldn't have been paying attention to XDC when it tapped that support. But I could do that unilaterally during the Michigan game because I wasn't gambling on it. Yes, I wanted them to win. Do I like sports as much as I used to? Actually, no. I had a conversation with myself last night and said, this might be the end of sports for you. Besides, obviously, Michigan. I don't like anything else. I don't watch the NBA. I don't watch the NFL. NHL, NBA, NFL, I barely watch. More for my dad than anything else while he's still with us. And he likes the Lions a lot, so, it's one way to get over there on Sundays. And have an excuse to get over there. But yeah. So if I would have been gambling on one or more things, I couldn't do this. That's the bottom line. If you gamble too much, you lose yourself. And with yes, the NIL was basically the final straw for me, even though it's going to benefit Michigan because they're just a big brand. But what did it for me was when the teams moved to Vegas and sports gambling became legal. So we're in an interesting time, that's all. What I am expecting out of XDC is a similar move like you're seeing with VeChain. Now, is it going to pan out? I don't know. I really don't. Because we're in a volatile moment. But that's what I'm expecting. Just because I expect something, it doesn't always happen. Just because I expect something doesn't mean I don't plan for the opposite to happen, because I do, as you know. I'm very good at that, defining both sides. But I've not changed that ABC target. All I've done is elongated it out with the consolidation. That's it. That hasn't changed in the least. So that's been there. So like I said, opportunity comes to those who knock. Or actually, opportunity comes to those who are willing to open the door when it's knocking. Doesn't come to those who are afraid or don't have the knowledge, believe me. It actually skips over those people. Crypto Fear and Greed Index went up from 5 a couple days ago up to 11 now today. Means some people are taking advantage of this short-term opportunity, but not enough. Really what you would have wanted to see was a move from 5 into the mid-20s right now to be really scared that it was going to be a quick reversal in one day. Right now it moved up perfectly from 5 to 8 to 11. That's a small, minute movement. That's what you want to see. We not only took out 6 and went to 5, the all-time low, we double bottomed on it in the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. So have I not been clear that I'm much more comfortable today and yesterday when we hit 5 2 days ago again than I was at any point in the last couple of years? But the bottom line is, I know in my heart that more than likely we're just grabbing liquidity and they're going to knock the shit out of us. But I want to see when the Fear and Greed Index gets up to 25 or 27 again and see what the market's looking like. Because we have a cup forming right now. We have to acknowledge that. And the ironic part is that cup comes up to that CME, roughly. We took out the lower liquidity box. It is what it is. I wasn't going to leave that. So my question to all of you, are you afraid? Or do you feel opportunity? You going to answer the door? You going to let it keep knocking? Remember, a missed opportunity isn't a lost opportunity. There's many other assets than just the ones that you think. And they all run in different ways. For a long time, XDC was front running the market. Now we've got a unique opportunity where it's behind the market, which means it's possible when the market retraces that XDC is going to take some liquidity. It's running differently than the market. Now, is it still up today? You better believe it. But it's still behind in a sense what the market's doing. The XDC XRP pairing by the day is becoming more desirable, folks. By the day is becoming more desirable. Remember when it was way out of whack in the daily and it was way overbought and I said, oh shit, this is the time to sell it. Not in the daily, but when it was, well, the daily didn't help when it got up there so quick again. But that was a sell signal, and we rode it. We rode the sell signal, and I've been very, very clear that I'm only buying on opportune moments. The weekly is still overdone. The monthly is trying to break out. So the way I look at these is I can give a break to the weekly being overbought because there's no double top right now. It's a V-shaped recovery. Oftentimes you'll have extended moments of volatility in the overbought section while the other time frames, especially the monthly, starts to catch up. So I want to see what happens. And this is simply could be too because XRP was meant to break quicker to the top side. Not only that, we filled this out to a guys. If this is calling to you for any reason, and I love all the skeptics with XDC, makes me want to own it more because I can see what's happening. I see the interoperability. I see the same thing I seen with XRP at 27 cents and 34 cents. I see it with XDC. I feel it. I don't know what that level is going to be at the end of the day, but I do know every time it gives me the chance, I'm taking it. And then if it tells me to sell, I'll sell it and do it again at the next chance. Right now, it called me. It said, listen, dummy, you weren't paying attention like you were supposed to because of gambling last year. You did good. You could have did better. That's why I have a zero tolerance policy now for gambling with sports. It's a zero tolerance. Every time I think about it now, I have to send the money I was going to spend and put it into my investment portfolio, which can be teetering. Next time I do it, if silver's at a reasonable level, I'll start buying silver again. Every time I'm going to gamble and I have that urge, last night I wanted to throw $250 on Michigan because at halftime, they were 21-point favorites yesterday. They were only up by 4, and the over-under was at 135.5, and it started at like 145. I was going to take Michigan plus 14 or minus 14 and the over 135.5, which would have hit, but Michigan only won by 10, so there's another 250 that would have been gone. So now it's either I just keep it in the account or now I got to send it off, get it in cash, which is probably what I'll do. Rainy day fund. But that can't stay in the bank account now, and now I must penalize myself. The only good news is I didn't lose that money to the house. I'm losing it back to myself because I didn't give in to temptation, which I almost did. I even re-downloaded the app, looked at it, had it all set up. The only thing I couldn't do was pull the trigger. Instead, I looked at my portfolios. I couldn't pull the trigger. It wasn't in me last night. I even told Julie, you'd be proud of me, because she thought I was going to bet. I said I couldn't do it. Yep, escrow dump this weekend, which also fed into the pump narrative to end the week. Because they like to have the appreciation before we dump out. But yeah, I agree, Defined. I think XDC is... I really like H-bar too. I like Algo. I like XLM, XRP. I like XLM. It's purely price point and where we're at right now. That's it. There's nothing there. The ones, in my opinion, you can't really say like, oh my God, XDC is so much better. I don't know. I like XLM, or I like both of them. I just like XDC more, if I'm being honest. XRP and XLM give me the same vibe. They're the same token, just split in half to hit different parts, which is very strategically sound. But it also caps any upside, universally. Even David Schwartz came out back in January and said XRP going to $50 to $100, it's unrealistic. And people are like, oh, he only said that because he has to say it. No, he's saying it because it's unrealistic. It doesn't mean it can never get there, but realistically speaking, it's unrealistic. I love XLM, though. I'll be the first to tell you, I love XLM. In fact, I've often wondered if it's a better move instead of buying, if you're not an XRP, buying 10,000 tokens for 13 grand, where it was at, or 14 and a half today, or is it better off to buy all of them into XLM? H-bar, if you're looking for privacy token play, and the injection into banking, oh, it's a beautiful one. Pull back your algo, say low. I'm not disagreeing. We'll see how it plays out this morning. I can see a little bit of upside potential. It depends what you're talking about too, because do I see even with XDC a pullback after? More than likely. I'm just trying to get to those zones to try to get that validation. If it invalidates the movement, well, that's a validation of a bearish rejection. Bitcoin going over 67,300 doesn't hurt what I've been talking about. It's up almost 1,000 points since we came on. Ethereum's up a couple percent since we came on, not hurting our cause. Expect the unexpected, folks. I say it every day. I'm sure people didn't think I'd come in with this demeanor. Said it 2 days ago, something happened and it clicked. I flipped. And the other thing I realize is the closer to God, the easier this is. You know, the closer to the scripture, the more understanding. It makes this a lot easier. Not everybody is into faith in this community, but you should have a faith in the higher. That doesn't mean the Almighty. It could mean whatever you think. But if you have the belief that there's something greater than I, and we do it for the abundance for all, can we really lose? Ponder that question. Can we lose? Don't think so. I don't think so. Remember back in the day when we were Neanderthals, we were hunter and gatherers for a reason. We couldn't use this so much because all of our focus was on gaining the energy so we didn't starve to death and we had the proper nutritional value to survive day to day. That's why the wife or your partner in crime was not just a maid, never has been, never will be. We just perpetrated in history improperly. No, you couldn't have the female and the male go out and potentially get killed. You needed somebody to use their strength to be the hunter and gatherer. And it's not like we didn't want to go home and clean or cook, which is an excuse nowadays because it's not the same. Believe me, it's not the same as it used to be. But when you go out and hunter-gather, you need some strong woman at the house to be able to break that food down because you're going to be exhausted, probably injured, probably sick, malnourished, but you're fighting. So when you get home, she's fighting. So then she preps the meal. Not only cooks it, but I mean prep it. Creates the dough. Creates the ingredient base. Jars the stuff back. And well, you didn't really have jars, but stored the stuff. A lot of that got lost in history. So now, instead of being hunter and gatherers, it's a mind assault. We have to be mentally strong. You can't be on psychotropics. If you are, I'm not judging. But it changes your chemical balance. So instead of using our energy to be hunter and gatherers, now we have to use our mental capacity. So instead of having to be hunter and gatherers, we're lazy. Not because we want to be. Inherently, we are lazy now. It's not our fault. We don't have to hunt for food. We've got shelter, but we have to sell our time. So instead of selling our time to hunt and gather, like all the animals you see outside, now we have to use our energy in a different way. We have to be mentally tough. So that's why now they assault our mind instead of our bodies. Well, they do it simultaneously, but it's about if you're weak up here, you'll go along with anything. It's just that's how it is. So if you get anything out of today's live, one, be the control of your own domain. Whether it's virtue of gambling, whether it's virtue of trying to learn something every day, give something every day, whether it's trying to understand deeper what's going on, not just in crypto, but around us. But also, it takes two to tango. It takes two to tango. I do a lot of work. But in my own house, I do a lot as well. I would never put it on Julie. She cooks a meal, I do the dishes. I cook a meal, I usually do the dishes still, but she wants to, I just don't usually let her. When it comes to the garbage, I never let her take it out. If she wants to, I'm not going to yell at her, but I always take it out because she's a beautiful soul, and I don't think she should have to deal with the garbage. Now, she does sometimes because that's who she is, and she takes it head on. But I prefer to do the dirty work so she doesn't have to. You see what I'm saying? And then when it comes with my son, our son, I should say, with his G-tubes, She does most of the feeding. I've done it a few times, maybe 7 to 10 times over the last year and a half, but she's done it 700 times. It's not because I can't do it, but she's created a bond with T. If she's sleeping, I'll do it at night. If he gets up too late, I'll do it. And that's been something I've done over the last couple weeks more, so I don't have to wake her up. But I don't have the best eyesight. So when I read the Book of Enoch, I'm not staring at the book. I have my book. I copy it. I tell AI exactly what I want it to read. Tell it has a rule that it has to read it 100% verbatim to my copy. Then I see it on a bigger screen. I hear it and see it, and I don't have to squint. Even though I can see good up close, like I don't need my glasses up close, which is it's a miracle. God's blessed me in that effect. I was supposed to go blind in both eyes by the time I was 30. For some reason, my right eye, the keratoconus, went away. They don't see any trace of it. It's the craziest shit I've ever seen. My left eye, it was too far gone to repair by whatever word. I don't even know what happened. So, Canvas Podcast said, streamers like Tom are educators and provide an invaluable service to the community. Those are the ones who succeed. I agree. I do agree. But it's not just me who will succeed. It's an entire community. See, I'm not about I'm about us. I've never been about self. Even when I was a kid, I'd get made fun of a lot because I'd always be feeling sorry for others, and I'd try to help everybody, and I'd try to step in for others, even if I got my ass kicked by someone bigger. I could take a punch when most couldn't. I actually thrived off. For some reason, God made me intolerant to pain. It hurts like hell, but I don't let it bother me. So I think we're only given what we can handle. And I can handle this community. I don't need anybody to come to my defense. I can handle the naysay. I really can. And I realize I'm a lot stronger than, and I'm too judgmental on myself. And Julie said it even got you too hard on yourself. There's only so much you can do for 50,000 people. And she's right. But I'm certainly going to try my best. But yeah, I think this has been a great live. I'm probably going to call it here. I want to do about 45 minutes of dedication for my live class. Again, you don't have to be a part of the live class. You can watch the ever-growing database. And you're not going to see the inside of a chart for, I would say, probably until, and I know it's crazy, but you see charts every day here, so do you really need it? You're not going to see the inside of a chart for probably, if I have the phases right, what is it, phase 5? We're in phase 2. So we're not even going to open the chart for quite some time, so that's a blessing in itself. So, but that's where we're at. I encourage you, join the classes, bet on yourself. You've got an ever-growing database. There's 7 classes right now that you can watch. And it is what it is. It is what it is. You're going to get out of it what you put in. That's all I can say. You're going to get out of it what you put in. So, a lot to learn. And I'm telling you, it's going to knock your socks off right from class 1. Allow it to grow on you because class 1 is not like class 7. I've learned a lot with Zoom. There's been a lot of advancement since the last time I taught on Zoom. But now I've become a seasoned veteran and I can manipulate it a little bit better to our favor. And as the classes go, you're going to see a lot more creativity. And I do put a lot of time into it. So, Melomania says 99% of people are consuming drama and negativity, so that's what their life becomes. 100%. 100%. 100% fact. So, have a blessed morning, everybody. I'm glad that we can put us on a right track of mind this morning. I'm so inherently thankful for all of you, and I can't wait to